This experience was so radical, I still remember it vividly after 30 years. My friends came up on a pallet load of expired drugs from a hospital, headed for the hazmat dump site. We went through the hard stuff, MS, Dilaudid, Disoxin, etc. With the rip-roaring drug habit, I started digging through all the little bottles of unknown stuff. That's when I came across the vial of pure scopolamine hydrobromide, used for compounding and formulation. The drug reference said it was used in over-the-counter sleep tablets, and I needed some sleep bad. I swallowed about half grain and injected half grain. Big mistake. It was about 9 p.m., and I don't remember much of the next 12 hours. My stepson said I crawled around all night eating lint balls off the shag carpet and mumbled to myself. At times I felt perfect, except I couldn't walk, and the hallucinations were so vivid I thought they were real. I was so bad, my stepson helped me get to a payphone to call the ambulance, but the numbers on the phone were backward, like in Russian. The fire department came and took me to the ER. My body was like on a PCP overdose, and I could not even stay on the exam bed, but kept slipping off onto the floor. It was funny because I would go from a clear mind to talking to people who were not there. They shot me with Valium 3 times to no effect. My heart rate was over 200 and my mouth was so dry I could not talk. The cops came, accused me of resisting arrest, and put me in a chokehold. After beating my butt right in front of the nurses, they took me to jail and tossed me into the rubber room. There, I kept seeing a detective shove his handgun into the cell and pull the trigger. Click, but no shot. He would laugh and pull his hand out. This happened over and over. Then I saw my grandma get thrown into the bullpen right across the hall. I saw the thugs rape her over and over. I was sure I could knock down the cell door and slam it in with all my weight over and over. I was screaming, I would kill those punks, and they were all pointing and laughing at me. It was 12 o'clock midnight on the second night. The watch commander opened the cell to check on me at change of shift. I leaped from flat on my back, like a cat, and bit him so bad he had to go down on workers' comp and then retired. After that, they called me the biter. All the time I was in the padded cell, I thought I saw pills all over the floor. I kept eating the pills, hoping to come down. I thought there was a bowl of Valiums in the middle. It was really the crap hole in the rubber room. Gross. They took me upstairs the third day to a medical unit. I thought I had a long sword stuck down my pant leg. I was walking with a stiff leg, and the cops kept asking me why I was walking funny. Over the next 12 hours, my toilet was singing doo-wop. My towel was Popeye's Kid's Sweet Peas singing around the bars, and I was stuck in a standoff between the Hells Angels and the Black Panthers. I must have killed a dozen men with my sword. The third night, I was afraid to move because I would set off a war, and I was right in the line of fire. I lay frozen for at least 10 hours. The Black Panthers kept throwing dead cats into my cell. The fourth morning, I had to go to court, so mental health interviewed me. I denied taking any illicit drug, knew who was the president, what day it was, and where I was. I told them everything was fine, except they kept throwing dead cats into my cell. When I got back to my cell, I noticed I could see more clearly. I was able to shave, had to threaten a fellow prisoner with beheading if he didn't give me a razor, and went to court. I mustered every ounce of strength and told the judge it was all a big mistake. My wife had filed a police brutality report over the hospital incident, and they let me go. It took over a week and a lot of downers for it to wear off completely. I know what it is to be insane and come back. I don't recommend it. Subject orally ingested 7 milligrams of racemically pure scopolamine HBr in aqueous vehicle. No other psychoactive substances were combined with the scopolamine. The quantity of scopolamine is decided upon because it is 1/50th of a lethal dose. Subject figures that this is a sufficient safety factor. 30 minutes in. Onset of peripheral anticholinergic symptoms. For example, dry mouth, blurred vision, dilated pupils, hyperprexia, red hands, and flushed face. Some noticeable ataxia and poor sentence construction. 1 hour in. Definite delirium setting in, substantial decrease of muscle tone, resulting in clumsy walking, much banging into walls and stumbling over nothing whatsoever. Heart rate is very fast. 2 hours in, muscles almost completely relaxed, so that walking is now impossible. Can barely crawl. Forehead feels feverish, hearing is impaired, pupils are monstrously dilated, Colors are very rich and bright, as with cannabis intoxication. Visual perceptual resolution is poor. Text appears blurry no matter how hard subject squints or concentrates. Depth perception is severely impaired, making it impossible to appropriately reach for even nearby objects without over or under reaching. 3 hours in. The walls are breathing, objects are swirling about and taking on living forms, making for a generally nightmarish scenario. Subject has no insight whatsoever. These are real hallucinations, unlike the fanciful visions and distortions that one obtains on indioleamine psychedelic drugs. Terrifying. 4 hours and onwards. Muscles are so weak that even lifting a finger seems to take superhuman strength. Subject feels an oppressive force pinning him down on the bed, paralyzing him. Visual field is completely obscured by various living forms and blurry splotches. Throat is parched, tongue feels sandy. Subject does not know where he is, does not know whether he is even awake or dreaming, does not know who he is, does not know why he feels so shitty, etc. Subject pledges his soul to the demon who is sitting on him in exchange for a refreshing drink of water. The demon takes his soul, doesn't provide the agreed upon water. Subject resigns himself to eternal damnation. 16 hours in. Subject finds himself at work, utterly perplexed. He realizes that he is in the middle of a conversation with someone, asks for that person to repeat what was just said, somehow manages to handle everything at work without stirring too much suspicion, vaguely recalls waking up in the morning midway down the basement stairs, luckily no injuries other than bruises, concludes that he must have fallen down the stairs while sleepwalking. Later that day, Subject is shocked to discover that he had completed a sizable amount of rather demanding paperwork earlier in the workday, with no recollection of even being delegated this task. Because of blurry vision, reading is somewhat difficult. 20 hours in, Subject comes home, sees a bowl of cooked rice sitting in the refrigerator, does not recall ever cooking rice, also finds a toothbrush and some floss, most of it pulled out then wrapped around the dispenser, on his nightstand, and a remote control in the bathroom. Pupils are still fucking hugely dilated. Subject has paranoid ideation about various entities lurking throughout his house, sees fleeting creatures in his peripheral vision. 48 hours in. Subject's memory and sanity are more or less back to normal, but he is deeply shaken and full of regret for ever thinking of experimenting with the anticholinergic delirium. Moral of the story: don't do scopolamine. It is not a psychedelic, mind-opening drug. Instead, it will make you a zombie.